What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're doing well. So let's talk some baseball. The New York Mets clinched the playoffs. I threw it in one of my graphics yesterday because the Mets officially clinched while I was actually editing the podcast. The New York Mets have clinched the playoffs. I am in utter disbelief. I did not think they would do it. Going into the season, I projected them to win just 73 games. I thought they were going to be very bad. And started off that way. I clowned on David Stearns for continuously shoving them on throat, but this is a playoff team after the 0-5 start. They were 11 games under 500 at the end of May. Looked like they were going to solve their whole team up at trade on. It was like a possible 100-loss season. It looked like it was going to be a very long year. And then just wild ride. You had they call up Jose Iglesias, a career utility infielder. Just like a random player you had in your mind system just for depth on the infield. You call him up after you had some injuries and some underperforming guys on the infield, and he was absolute godsend, and hitting over 300 for the Mets this year. Got regular playing time for the most part. He released his own song called "Oh My God," which went viral and became the Mets, I guess, theme song. Or whatever you want to call it. Grimace, this freaking purple blob, threw out the first pitch, and ever since then became just like the secondary mascot for the team. The Mets just completely turned it around. Yeah, the whole thing of Jorge Lopez getting thrown out of the game, throwing his glove into the stands, then going to the media and saying the Mets are one of the worst teams he's ever been on, getting cut, and just up and down, crazy wild card race. Going into the series against the Braves last week, knowing all we gotta do is win one game to make a wild card. But then, you lose the first game, you're like, oh, this is gonna be the same thing it was in 2022, and they need to win one game against the Braves with Jacob DeGrom and Max Scherzer pitching in that series to clinch the division, and then you get swept. You drop to the wild card, and then you end up losing in the first round. And of course, last year had a historically bad year after the $400 million payroll. Then the hurricane hits and he gets rained out, and now do you realize this was a scheduling mistake on MLB? They should have moved the series to begin with. So the Mets they go to Milwaukee. They lose 2 out of 3, but you get a little help from Atlanta, you get a little help from Arizona. You go into the doubleheader against the Braves, the makeup games tied. You need to win one of them. Like, oh boy, First thing, you got Tyler McGill going, who's their worst starting pitcher right now. They're going to lose the first game. They're going to have to use Severino in the second game. They're going up against Chris Sale, who, of course, ended up getting hurt, but that's besides we know at the time. And we're going to lose both. We're going to miss the playoffs. But the Mets win an incredible baseball game, one of the best baseball games ever. 8-7. Braves were up 3-0 for most of the game. Obviously, a 2-run homer in, I think, the third inning. They're up 3-0 going to the 8th. And then in the top of the 8th, Mets score 6 runs, go up 6-3, bomb in the 8th. Phil Maton and Edwin Diaz gave up 4 runs. Braves go back up 7-6, look like a typical Mets collapse. But then Francisco Lindor, bad back and all, go at 2-run homer in the top of the 9th to give the Mets an 8-7 lead, and Diaz hangs on for the save in the bottom half. Mets win 8-7 to clinch the playoffs. Of course, Braves end up winning the second game to clinch the playoffs and knock out the Arizona Diamondbacks. But Mets are in the playoffs. What a ride. Kudos to David Stearns. I criticized him earlier in the year, but I was wrong about him in the beginning of the year, I will admit. He built a really good team, and I'm excited to see what he does in the future, and the Mets are in the playoffs. But to just go over the wild card round, which starts today. In fact, by the time this is out, the first game might already be over, or at least close to over. You got in the American League, Yankees are the 1 seed. Guardians are the 2 seed. They get the byes. Houston will host the Detroit Tigers, and the Baltimore Orioles will host the Kansas City Royals. Then going to the National League, Los Angeles Dodgers are the 1 seed. Philadelphia Phillies are the 2 seed. Those are the 2 byes. The Milwaukee Brewers will host the New York Mets, and the San Diego Padres will host the Atlanta Braves. So that is the playoff standings. Right now, that's how things are going. I'm going to talk about the teams that did not make the playoffs, probably sometime in the next week or so. Kind of, what I need to improve on, things like that. So that's something's going to be happening. But we had some teams making some changes already. Marlins officially let go of Skip Schumacher after only 2 years. This is why the Marlins are such a bad organization. They develop all this talent. They start to get good, and as soon as they start to make a little bit of money, they trade them all away. And they'll blame the manager, they blame this, they blame that. You know, I was hoping maybe they get a little better after Jeffrey Loria sold the team to Derek Jeter and his group, but it just hasn't worked out. I mean, the first thing that Derek Jeter did was just tear that team apart, including trading Giancarlo Stanton coming off of the historical year to the New York Yankees. Left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. Obviously, he stepped down as CEO a couple of years ago. But I don't understand. You bring in Kim Young to be the GM. She hires Skip Schumacher. She puts a really good team on the field. Schumacher does a good job. Wins Manager of the Year. Takes you to the playoffs last year. Then you do nothing in the offseason. You fire Kim Young, who put together a playoff team. Something that's only happened 4 times in the history of the Marlins, and only 3 times in a full season. 2020 was obviously a short year because of the pandemic. And then you fire her. You bring in, I don't even know who. And then you give Skip a crappy team. You lose guys in the offseason. Don't re-sign any of your key free agents. You don't bring in anybody. Don't spend any money. And also the team sucks. And then what you do, you trade away your best player, Luis Arraez, after a bunch of prospects to the Padres in April. And before the end of April, the season was already over. And now you fire Schumacher. I don't understand. He's going to be a top candidate for manager openings for sure. You wonder if St. Louis could bring him in if they fire Ollie Marmol. Of course, Skip Schumacher played there for a while. I believe he was on the World Series team. Was a bench coach there before he took the Marlins manager job a couple of years ago. So you will see what happens. The San Francisco Giants are shaking up their front office. They fired Farhan Zaidi. Their president of baseball operations was fired, and they hired Buster Posey, former catcher and future Hall of Famer most likely. One of the best players in San Francisco Giants history is now the president of baseball operations. So big shake up there for the Giants. Like, I like Zaidi. He was the GM with the Dodgers for a while. Then he became the president of baseball operations with the San Francisco Giants. But he just hasn't put a good enough product on the field. I mean, he hasn't. Obviously, 2 years ago, he had Correa and then decided to let him go. We thought they had Aaron Judge, but then it was a false report. So he just, every year it seems like he's in the market for all these big players, and he always comes up empty. How I feel, honestly, about Lou Lamoriello with the New York Islanders, not to compare different sports, but every year he's in the market for big names. Every year he goes after him. Every year he comes up short. He puts a good enough team to be relevant-ish and be competitive, but it's never good enough to be, more than sneaking to playoffs and then get bashed in the first round. And the Giants last couple years have been pretty mediocre. Ever since the 107-win season a couple of years ago, I think it was 2021 I think it was 21, and they lose in the LCS that year to the Dodgers, and since then I don't think they've made the playoffs. You made a bunch of moves off, it didn't really work. Jung Ho Lee gave a whole bunch of money. The outfitter from Japan, he was out for the year before May even started. The contract to Snell ended up working out. Matt Chapman ended up working out. Of course, you ended up extending him, but it just wasn't enough. The reason the team was 2 games below 500 and finished 9 games out of the playoffs. So that's a change that was made, and the Cardinals made an announcement saying their president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak, is going to step down after next season, and Shane Bloom will be promoted to be the next president of baseball operations. What are you doing? Do you not see the guy in Boston? The guy sucks. I don't get it. It's a shame, because the Cardinals were once a proud organization. They made really smart free agency moves. They developed talent well. They were always competitive. They were really good. And they've just become as mediocre as it gets. I just don't understand. And it starts at the top there. They need a complete regime change. Skip Schumacher sitting right there in the manager market. Guy who played for your team for a while, coach with your team as an assistant coach, has proven that he can be a decent manager if you give him a solid squad. The Cardinals team isn't great, but certainly better than what the Marlins had the last 2 years. And it looks like right now you're going to keep Ollie Marmol. And Mozeliak says, all right, my time has come. I'll step down after next year. All right, so you're kind of first. So basically, you're admitting that next year is going to be a rebuilding year. You're not going to re-sign Paul Goldschmidt, who isn't the same player anymore, to be fair. But you announced you're not going to re-sign him. You basically announced, we're not going to be aggressive in free agency. We're going to, shift to, player development opposed to trying to make the playoffs and win a World Series. Then he's going to leave the team, and Shane Bloom is going to be the man, in charge of the show. I don't understand what the Cardinals are trying to do. And that, Ross, that organization needs a complete overhaul. maybe not with ownership. No, I'm not saying they should sell ownership, sell the team, but just from the top down, they need to shake up in the front office. They need to shake up in the dugout. That roster is just ancient, and it just isn't good enough. They need major changes, and it looks like we're not going to get them for at least another year. And even when we get them in 2026, it'll be Shane Bloom, so that's not exactly a positive mark for the St. Louis Cardinals. All right, so Monday Night Football last night, we had a doubleheader. First game was a complete snooze fest. Titans beat the Dolphins 31-12. Will Levis hurt his shoulder in the first quarter. First round throw, a really horrible interception. And then Mason Rudolph came in and he played well enough to win. They went 31-12. Notes on that game, I would say, I think the Titans should start Mason Rudolph. Will Levis is freaking terrible. I know it's only his second year. The second round pick last year. He took over, I think, like week 5 or something like that, week 6. He wasn't that good last year. First 2 games, he flashed a tiny bit, but then struggled the rest of the way. He's looked atrocious this year. Like, he's never been good. He wasn't good at Kentucky. He wasn't a super high recruit coming out of high school. He wasn't good at Kentucky. He fell to the second round for a reason last year. He wasn't that good last year. He wasn't that good this year. I don't get our team seeing him. Yes, he has a strong arm, but he's extremely erratic, a turnover machine. He's not that great of an athlete. Not this super phenomenal leader. Off the field, he's in the news for all this weird stuff he's doing. He likes mayonnaise in his coffee, which is just a federal crime. I don't understand what the Titans see in him. I know, obviously, Ron Carfin drafted him only last year. You want to go up and like that quick. First of all, second round pick is not going to get as long of a lead as a first round pick. Brian Callahan, you got to really get off the mind as his head coach. And look, if Mason Rudolph gives them the best chance to win, I think they should go for it. You look at that division. Houston's very good, but Indianapolis doesn't look so hot this year. Jacksonville looks horrible. Titans have a shot to easily at least be the second best team in that division and compete for a playoff spot this year. And if Mason Rudolph gives them the best chance to do that, they should do that. Shame, because the roster's actually pretty solid. They have a pretty good running back duo of Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. Pretty good receiving core of Calvin Ridley, DeAndre Hopkins, and Tyler Boyd. Offensive line needs a little bit of work, but you got the right man to coach in that position group with Bill Callahan. You have a pretty good defense. I don't understand why you would start Levis just to try. I mean, at this point, I don't know what else. Did you see that interception he threw before he hurt his shoulder? He threw it right to the linebacker. I don't know what he was looking at. The guy isn't good. But Miami, oh no. They need to sign or trade for another quarterback. This roster is too good to be this bad. And they were bad. I was like, yeah, Tyreek Hill was dropping passes. Jalen Wild was dropping passes. Mason Rudolph is just tearing backup quarterback just runs in there and tears your team up. Oh my God, they are horrible. They're horrible. And look, I hope Tua gets well soon. I don't know what he's gonna do. Apparently, he set them free and he could return in week 8. I would advise him to be careful with his concussions. But yeah, they have to do something because 2 weeks ago, you played Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle. Of course, Skylar Thompson got hurt, and Tim Boyle relieved him. Both of them don't belong in the NFL. This week, your story was Tyler Huntley, who probably belongs in the league as a backup, I guess. But the guy, he wasn't very good either. He threw for 96 yards last night. It was terrible. So they need to get somebody. Whatever, sign Ryan Tannehill. Obviously, you drafted him in the top 10 pick years ago. The guy who. Look, he's not that good anymore, obviously. There's a reason he's not in the league. He is not a starting quarterback in this league anymore. But as a backup and fill-in starter, he could be worse, especially in this offense. Maybe trade for Mac Jones. He's proven to not be very good. But maybe with a much better situation, he could at least be serviceable for the Dolphins and at least get them into the postseason. You have to do something. I would have kept Mike White. I mean, Mike White isn't that good, but he's at least a solid backup or fill-in guy. With this roster, it would be hard for him to be, much, worse than Tyler Huntley was last night. 14-26 for 96 freaking yards. Like, they have to do something. Otherwise, they're going to waste the season, and guys are going to get fired. It's going to happen. You have invested this much money into the team. You have this much capital. You're this talented. And, and the AFC East is pretty winnable this year. I pick them to win the division. The Jets have, are very poorly coached. They're the Jets. Something's going to go wrong. You have a 40-year-old quarterback with a torn Achilles. The Bills, got, their receiving core is a little questionable. They're not a juggernaut. The Patriots suck. So this is the Dolphins' chance to just finally win the AFC East and go on a run, and they're going to blow it. Because, after the quarterback, because they overpaid a mediocre quarterback with injury concerns. He got injured again, and you weren't prepared for it. So they're in danger of wasting a really good season. And the nightcap was much more entertaining. Lions beat the Seahawks 42-27. I didn't realize the Lions had lost like 6 or 7 games in a row against the Seahawks, but they get past Seattle. Detroit picks up the win. Jared Goff, a perfect performance. 18 of 18 for 290 yards, 2 scores, and he had a receiving touchdown. They did a little trick play when Amon-Ra threw to Jared Goff. He had more receiving touchdowns as a quarterback than he did incompletions. Absolutely perfect. And Dan Campbell after the game said he didn't give him the game ball because he didn't realize that he was perfect. He said, I knew he played well. I didn't think he was that good. The Lions, Jared Goff was in his element. By the way, those black line jerseys are really nice. Those look really good. And they played their ass off in them, too. So maybe they should keep doing it. Maybe they should keep wearing them. They ran the ball really well. They got everyone on the offense involved. And the Lions' defense didn't look a little spotty. Terry Arnold, I like talent like it. He's got to stop holding. He had a couple of penalties last night that hurt the Lions. But that defense could use a little work. Geno Smith overall played pretty well. I feel like Kenneth Walker obviously had a big game. But Seattle defense just got torn apart. That was a very bad performance defensively by Bob Seahawks. So Lions win 42-27. All right, so I'm gonna do my NFL power rankings. Haven't done one yet this season. We are a month into the season, so we're a quarter of the way through. Here are my power rankings. A quarter of the way through the season. I'm gonna go 32-1. At 32, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have looked just horrible. They are 0-4, the only winless team in the NFL to this point. Trevor Lawrence is struggling. We're really starting to think he really isn't that good. On paper, the offense should be a lot better than it is. That defense is absolutely horrible. They struggled last year. You make the change. You overhaul the coaching staff. You bring in a couple of impact pieces, and it's still just bad, if not worse. And they need to fire Doug Peterson. The guy is a mediocre coach at best. He was okay in Philly. Yes, he won a Super Bowl. Yeah, I get it. Carson Wentz was our MVP year, goes down. Nick Foles comes in, you still win. But Doug Rossman was also stacked. The other night, the guy's done nothing in his career. The one playoff berth 2 years ago, cool. You collapsed last year. You look horrible. You've lost 9 of your last 10 games. The team is just horrible. And last year, like, all right, you said this is on the defense, not my side of the ball. I'm making it a change to my entire staff on that side of the ball. Your GM Trent Baalke, who isn't that good either. He's not a very good GM either. He should probably get fired as well. But he went out and got some pieces to help you on defense, and the defense still is atrocious, and this team is still really, 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 really bad. He's got to go. I don't know how he makes it through the season. I don't see it happening. I really don't. So they need to make a change somewhere, because right now whatever they're doing is not working. But 31, I have the New York Giants. Like, Daniel Jones, he sucks. I don't know what else to say. The guy isn't good. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He just isn't. And I feel bad for Brian Daboll. That line's a little bit better, but still isn't very good. Blake Neighbors is incredible. You know the meme? It's like that really fancy car and like the really crappy house. That's Blake Neighbors on the Giants. The rest of the offense is painful. Wanda Robinson, I think, has got some potential, but Devery Slayton's a drop machine. That defense is very good. That front seven is phenomenal. Most of the secondary, I don't think, is that great. They're very, very bad. They are not good. 30, the Tennessee Titans. They picked up a win last night, but against Tyler Huntley. They're still sitting at 1-3. For right now, Brian Callahan said Will Levis is still a starter if he's healthy. The guy's horrible. He's a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL. The guy's just terrible. He's holding them back. The offensive line still isn't that good. Latham's looked a little shaky so far. It's still a long way to go. At 29, I got the New England Patriots. They're, again, not very good. You have a rookie head coach. You got Jacoby said it's not starter in this league. Obviously, you're not putting Drake May back there. The offense, they're just so bad. They have possibly the worst offensive line in the league. It's either them or the Chicago Bears. They have no protection really up front. And Brissett, obviously, the guy's just got no arm. And I like Ramondre Stevenson. They can run the ball. But we're getting down in games a lot. Obviously, you got to pass. They still have a passing offense. Their receiving core is terrible. Kendrick Bourne's still hurt. Jalen Polk's a rookie. Javon Baker's a rookie. Javon Baker we haven't really even seen yet. DeMar Douglas look pretty good. That's really about it. But the defense is pretty good. Chris Gonzalez is a stud. You took him in the first round last year, obviously having him healthy. But, you won't really have much of a pass rush. You got some guys that obviously you traded away Matt Judon. And, Bentley is injured. So, you're having trouble stopping the run. The team isn't very good. At 28, the Carolina Panthers. They've looked a little better the last 2 weeks since they benched Bryce Young for Amby Dalton. Obviously, 2 weeks ago, pick up a win against the Raiders. You looked, solid against the Bengals, even in the loss. Dalton's actually played pretty well. You've ran him up pretty well with Triple Hubbard, and you may get Jonathan Brooks back, your third-round pick, so that'll help. The offensive line is better, still isn't great. Defensively, their secondary isn't great. They cannot stop the run to save their lives. It doesn't help, but Derek Brown's out for the season, and now Shaq Thompson's out for the year as well. And their pass rush isn't great, but not the worst. And the team is awful. You have a rookie head coach there. They've looked like an actual football team, I guess, the last 2 weeks, but they're still very, very bad. At 26, I have the Cleveland Browns. Simple as this. Deshaun Watson just flat out sucks. Horrible human, horrible player. The guy is not good. He's bottom 5 quarterback in the league. He has nothing left. Jerome Ford can't save that running game. They're maybe getting Nick Chubb back soon, and they desperately need him back because that offense needs to jolt. This offense is built, and this is going to be a long year. Their offense is built to run the football with that top-tier offensive line, that top-tier run game, and play really good defense. And defense is very good, but problem is your offensive line has a ton of injuries. Nick Chubb is injured. And just Deshaun Watson, you need a passing offense in the NFL, and they don't have one. So even when Chubb comes back, that's a major injury. He's 28, 29. He's had a couple of them throughout his career. He had one at Georgia. He had one of his first, second year in the league, and now he has another one. And now the line's a lot worse. I don't expect anything from the Cleveland Browns this year. At 26, I have the Los Angeles Rams. My team just has a lot of injuries. They're getting older. Stafford's still a pretty good quarterback, but he's getting older. Cooper Kupp is out through at least this upcoming week. Puka Nakua's out another month at least. Now all of a sudden, you look at an offense that kind of ran, but you have top tier receivers, which Stafford needs a little bit more now at this point in his career. Now he just doesn't have them. Kyron's great, but that defense just flat out sucks. It's not good. Thought the Rams might make the playoffs again, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. 25 out of the yards from the Cardinals. They aren't great. Kyler's overrated. I don't think he's all that good. He's a mediocre quarterback in his league. That's a horrible contract that they signed. But obviously, you have Marvin Harrison Jr., who obviously looks great. James Conner's played well, but defensively, they are not very good. They still suck defensively. And I don't think Kyler is really the man for the job. At 24, the Miami Dolphins look obviously roster-wise to be a lot higher than this, but they have no quarterback. The quarterback is freaking Talkin. You've already had 4 quarterbacks play, and we're a month into the season. They got to go out and get somebody, and they're struggling. You got guys dropping passes, and you gave up 31 to the freaking Titans Tennessee Titans. So, I put them ahead of the Titans, and the Titans beat them. I can't look someone in the eye and say the Titans are a better football team than the Dolphins, but they got to make him move at quarterback. At 23, I have the Los Angeles Chargers. Injury bug hit him again. They do this every year. Obviously Herbert, who's great, but he's playing through an ankle injury. Both your tackles, Slayer and all, who are both phenomenal, are hurt. Your top preference, Joey Bosa, is hurt. So there's a ton of injuries right now. Already setting them back after they're off to a good start. They were going to get a lot better. But now it looks like they're might go down the drain again because of how many injuries they have. At 22, I have Cincinnati Bengals. They've off to a tough start. Finally got a win this week. They're at 1-3. Burrow overall has played well, but I haven't seen the same swagger from them. You know, that line, obviously, 2 weeks ago suffered a big injury of Trent Brown, which is going to hurt. And that defense is not very good. They're not good defensively. That needs to get better. So I don't think Zach Taylor's that great of a coach. He really misses Brian Callahan. This is a very flawed team that I could see turning things around and still making the playoffs, but this is a very flawed team. 21st, I have the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, the guy there's no in between of him. He throws this incredible pass that is wowsy, or he has the worst turnover you've ever seen. No, he looks rough, and now he might be hurt, though. He might play this week. Joe Flacco, I mean, he looked good. He's a good backup, Joe Flacco. But also now Jonathan Taylor might be hurt. He's a high ankle sprain, so he might miss time. And with Zach Moss no longer there, I don't know who's going to really relieve him. You know, I don't know why Michael Pittman Jr. isn't really getting involved, though I do think he's a little overrated. Definitely got Josh Downs back this week, and he played well, but that defense is not very good. Gus Bradley might get fired. He's made a career being a good defensive corner. He was a good DC in Seattle. He's been an overall solid DC in Indianapolis. He's kind of been a good defensive corner wherever he's been. But he might get fired because he's not doing a good enough job. At 20, I have the Denver Broncos. Your Bo Nix, he hasn't looked great so far, but they are 2-2. And I mean, you know, they're defensively they're pretty good. Not very good against the run. The secondary is pretty good. Obviously, you got Patrick Surtain, might be the best corner in the league. You got a very good pass rush. Offensively, can't really run the ball, not to weapon. Sean Payton, I don't think is that good of a coach. I've said before he's overrated, but you know, you upset the Bucs, and obviously you steal a game against the Jets. But you know, that team isn't very good, but 2-2, so they're going to have to at least be only slightly below average for now. Number 19, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, Gardner Minshew overall has actually played pretty well, and I mean that defense is just absolutely horrible. But Antonio Pierce, I don't know about him. I think he's a good guy, and he's a good motivator. I kind of put him on the same category as do Deion Sanders with college football. Deion's like obviously very successful career. Obviously, he was a starting college at Florida State, was a Hall of Fame corner in the NFL, and he knows the game. He's obviously he's got a big personality, great motivator, but not really an X's and O's guy. X's and O's guys, X and O guy. Antonio Pierce, he obviously not the same player as Deion, but he was a good player. Was a linebacker for the Giants for a while. Was a good player. Had a good career. Won a Super Bowl with the Giants. Might have actually had 2. No. Is a good guy. Is a very good motivator, but not really an X's and O's guy. That's kind of how I feel about Antonio Pierce. And now apparently he liked the Instagram post that that saying that Devontae Adams might get traded this week. So a whole lot of drama going on. I think that's going to end very poorly for the Las Vegas Raiders. At 18 is the Chicago Bears. Look, that defense is absolutely amazing. One of the best in the league. Certainly top 5. The offense looks rough. Kid Williams has struggled. DeAndre Swift played well this week. Finally, first 3 weeks looked absolutely horrible. As Keenan Allen was up the first 2 games. They should really get Rome Odunze more involved. Also, that offensive line is just horrible. It's going to hold them back. And that coaching staff sucks. Shane Waldron has done a good job. The new offensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus is not a head coach in his league. He just is not. Until they let him go, I don't see much happening there. At 17, I have the Dallas Cowboys. They're mediocre. Kind of what I expected. Dak's overrated. Their running game is absolutely terrible. They cannot run the ball. Zeke's washed. Rico Dowdle isn't that good. Deuce Vaughn isn't that good. They cannot run the ball. They just can't. My defense is horrible now. Micah Parsons, you're probably going to not have him for at least this week. DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out for a while. He's going to go into reserve. That defense is terrible. Cowboys will not even make the playoffs. I mean, that is mediocre as it gets. And Mike McCarthy is not a good coach. It's not looking good. 16th Jets looked. Aaron Rodgers, I thought, played well the first 3 weeks. He struggled this week against the Broncos. The line's a little better. Isn't great, but better. Overall, I think they have a nice set of weapons. The defense is still very good. But just there is horribly coaches against. Roberts still absolutely sucks. Hackett's a horrible offensive coordinator. That might be the worst coach team in the league. They're very, very bad. 15, New Orleans Saints. They're a good start. Seems like a lifetime ago. Even though it was only 2 weeks ago. They're frauds. Derek Carr is as mediocre as it gets. Now the Kamara is great. Chris Olave is really good, but there isn't a whole lot there outside of that. Defense is old. I'm not expecting a whole lot from the Saints. At 14, I have the Philadelphia Eagles. Nick Sirianni is a horrible NFL head coach. He just is not good. How do you have this much talent and you're this mediocre? Jalen Hurts, to me, is starting to be overrated. He's got to be careful with his turnovers. If he doesn't have a ton of weapons, he really isn't doing a whole lot for me. That defense still absolutely sucks. That secondary is still absolutely horrible. Slay, to me, looks washed. Cooper Jr., I think, is still hurt. They look terrible. CJ Garbrandt-Johnson, that guy is... He talks a lot for a guy who really cannot cover for his life. James Bradbury isn't good anymore. That secondary is just old and washed. They're not very good. I thought the Baltimore Ravens, who big win this week against the Bills, but before that, lose to the Chiefs. You blow against the Raiders. You almost blow against the Cowboys, so they looked a little shaky. So I'm going to question John Harbaugh a little bit. They've blown a bunch of leads, but kudos Derrick Henry for beat people thought it was going to be washed. Not at all. But Lamar hasn't quite locked in yet. The defense is still very good, but some concerns from the top there. At 12 out of the Atlanta Falcons, they looked okay so far. I mean, look, they're probably going to go 9-10-7. Maybe they still steal the division. The division isn't very good. But Kirk overall, besides the first game, has played pretty well. Drake London's looked pretty good. Kyle Pitts, again, is a ghost. The guy's overrated. Overall, they look solid. It could be better. I mean, this is the team. I don't think Raheem Morris is that great of a coach, but I think Zach Robinson has done a good job. At 11, I have the San Francisco 49ers. Obviously, being 2-2, not super ideal, but you've played through a bunch of injuries. Obviously, McCaffrey now has bilateral Achilles tendonitis. I didn't know it was a thing. He might not play at all this year. And, Debo was, just came back from the same thing with George Kittle. Nick Bosa was nicked up at one point. You lose Javon Hargrave, still don't have Drake Green. Also playing through some injuries. But also Kyle Shanahan, he's already blown a lead. So, not ideal. To the top 10. At 10, the Green Bay Packers. They've stuck through. Even without for those two games, Malik Willis played well. Wolf came back overall, I thought played well in his return. They have a lot of weapons offensively. Defensively, they still aren't that great. Honestly, I don't think what's his name? Jeff Hafley, he's not that much of an upgrade from Joe Barry as a corner, to be honest. That defense still doesn't look very good. At 9, the Washington Commanders, they looked a lot better than I thought. Jane Daniels has been incredible. He's completing over 80% of his passes. That's historically great. They're running the ball well. The offense looks really, really good. The line could be better. Jane Daniels has been running a lot, but something can work on. The defense could be better, but it's honestly not been as bad as I thought. Cliff Kingsbury has done a good job as a coordinator there. Dan Quinn, he's 3-1. They're off to a good start. At 8, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They look good so far. Besides the one second to Denver, they've played really well. Baker's played his ass off. The passing offense looks really good. Of course, Godwin's having a better year. And they look really good. The Bucs had a big win against the Eagles this past week. Number 7 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, I don't know how he's doing. Mike Tomlin has done it again. Obviously, a tough loss to the Colts this week. But Fields is... Look, he's actually played decently well. For the Steelers, looks like he'll start the rest of the year, if I had to guess. Even when Russell Wilson is healthy. The run game hasn't been great. The passing offense has been better than I thought. And that defense is really, really good. They have a phenomenal defense. At 6, I have the Seattle Seahawks. Of course, lost to the Lions this week, and that defense is not very good. But Geno Smith has played very well. They're running the football pretty well. And offensively, they look really good. Overall, I think Mike McDonald has done a good job in his first year as a head coach there. At 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. Allen, he struggled against the Ravens. Overall, he has played very well. Been typical Josh Allen. He'll play some hero ball. He'll make a lot of great things, a couple of bad things. But the receivers overall have stepped up for the most part. They've ran them up pretty well. Just they need to work on that secondary. That secondary is not very good. At 4, I have the Detroit Lions. Besides the one loss to Tampa, they've looked very good. Goff was a slow start, but has looked much better. Obviously, he played his ass off last night. They're running the ball really well. They're getting a lot of people in the offense involved. Defense looks better. The one thing they have to work on is the penalties. Defensively, Terry Norton had a couple of the holding penalties last night. He's got to work on that. They clean that up. They could be in the Super Bowl. Number 3 is the Houston Texans. Stroud's played well. Besides that, plus the one game against the Vikings, they've looked really, really good. The offense looks pretty much as advertised. They're a phenomenal football team. D'Amico Ryan is a great head coach. Number 2, the Minnesota Vikings. I did not have the Vikings on my bingo card being second team, best team in the league. Might seem a little high, but look, they're 4-0. One of the 2 4-0 teams in the league. So they're the best team in the NFC. Sam Darnold's playing really well. And, that pass game looked really good. Defensively, a lot better than expected. Kevin O'Connell's a great coach. Brian Flores has done a great job as the defensive coordinator. They are rolling. I got to put them there. And number 1 is the Kansas City Chiefs. Holmes hasn't even really locked in yet, and they're still winning games. He's still playing well enough to win. Obviously, losing Rashee Rice this season possibly is going to really hurt them. But they won Super Bowl with that crappy receiving core last year. Why can't they do it again? Travis Kelce looked a little bit better. They've looked good defensively. They're 4-0. That's really all that matters. All right. All I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.